If someone insults me, the first thing I do is not get angry. I think they're troubled. Let me show you why that single thought and the specific boundary method I use changes everything. Before we begin, I want you to do something. Think of the last time someone really insulted you. Maybe it was a boss, a partner, or a parent. Hold that memory in your mind. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to protect your dignity in that exact moment. But make sure you stick around because I'm going to share the 4-step boundary method that saved my professional reputation during a public attack at my previous job. And the solution is not what you think. First, we have to realize that most insults aren't actually about you. They're about the other person's inner world. In psychology, we call this projection. When people feel whole, they're kinder. When they're fractured by stress, fear, or shame, that negativity leaks outward. When someone lashes out at you, it's a symptom. It's not a truth about you. If I act in good faith, their words lose power because I understand something is bothering them. And they will take it out on anyone standing in my place. Now, knowing they're troubled stops your anger, but let's be honest, it doesn't stop their behavior. To actually stop them from doing it again, compassion isn't enough. You need a physical override switch. The script I'm about to give you works perfectly if you're calm. But what happens when your heart is pounding, your palms are sweating, and your brain shuts down? That is where most people fail. This is called an amygdala hijack. Your emotional brain takes over. Your prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for logic and language, goes offline. To get your logic back, you have to interrupt your own biological pattern. You cannot think your way calm. You have to breathe your way calm. Do this with me right now. Inhale for 4 seconds. Hold for 2. Exhale for 6. That tiny pause does something magical. It creates a gap between stimulus and response. That gap gives you choice. Without this breath, you're a puppy reacting to their strings. With it, you're in control. Now that your body's under control, you're ready for the hardest part. What do you actually say? This brings us to the 4-step boundary method and the story of how I used it when my career was on the line. I used to react instantly, heart racing, mind spinning. A few years ago, I was in a high stakes board meeting. A senior colleague, let's call him Mark, interrupted my presentation. He publicly attacked my idea, calling it naive and amateur. It wasn't constructive feedback. It was an attack. It was embarrassing. The room went silent. In the past, I would have snapped back or shut down. Instead, I used step 1, observe. I felt the heat in my chest. I took that breath we just practiced. I observed my body separating my feeling from his words. Then, step 2, reframe. I looked at him. I didn't see a monster. I saw a guy terrified of losing his budget. I reframed him from attacker to triggered. Then came step 3, respond. This is where you need the script. When a coworker or family member crosses the line, your job isn't to win, it's to stay regulated. Here is the formula I use. When you insert the behavior, I feel, insert the impact. I'm open to insert the alternative, but not insert the boundary. In that meeting, I looked them in the eye and said, Mark, when you speak to me with that tone, it makes it difficult to have a productive conversation. I'm open to feedback on the data, but I'm not open to personal insults. That's it. Clear, calm, direct. I didn't attack him, I protected me. But there's a step 4, and it is the most critical one. Follow through. You must state the consequence. Something like, if it continues, I'll step away from the conversation. A boundary without a consequence is just a suggestion. In my meeting, he was stunned. He mumbled an apology. Later, the VP approached me, not to talk about my presentation, but to compliment how I handled the conflict. That pause didn't just save the meeting, it turned a liability into an asset. However, sometimes you do everything right. You breathe, you use the script, and they still don't stop. Especially in a workplace, this becomes dangerous. If this happens at work, there's one final step you must take to protect yourself. Document it. Do not rely on memory. Memory is emotional. Documentation is factual. Write down the date, the time, the exact words used, and who else was in the room. Then you escalate it with facts, not emotion. For example, HR on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Mark said this in front of the VP. This makes you untouchable. So you now have the internal tool, the reframing, the physical tool, the breath, and the verbal tool, the 4-step script. You realize that their anger is about them, but your safety is about you. These are just some of the internal tools to stay calm. There's also a powerful technique called cognitive reframing, which you can learn about in this video. I'll see you there.